Hi, I'm Brayden Riccelli from Spokane, Washington. There's been a lot of reporting on how our state is in a budget crisis. How does this shortfall affect higher education policies?
Thank you, Brandon. That is a very good question right now. We are filming this at the very last of our session, so we are finally getting the budget negotiators into the same room to talk about what we can do to balance this budget. And education is a huge piece of that. And unfortunately, our higher ed communities and our community colleges are going to have to take some cuts too. I know the governor's been one that doesn't want to, and neither do I, neither do most of us. We don't want to cut education funding, whether it's higher ed or K-12 funding. So it's down to setting priorities and figuring out what shortfall we can balance in what part of the budget. Our budgets are very complicated and not as complicated as the federal government budget, but our state is very complicated. So we're in the middle of negotiating that and setting priorities. Again, I'm hoping that we can keep all our students whole and help any student, whether they're first generation student or someone that's whose parents have gone to college. But I'm hoping that we can offer education opportunities for all students in the state of Washington.
Well, Brayden, you might have heard a lot from my colleague who you might be familiar with, Senator Riccelli, who's also from Spokane, and I'm guessing is your relative or your father. But we talk a lot about the budget crisis, and how it impacts my committee is I feel sad a lot. I mean, I care deeply about students. Getting my education was a pathway to so many other things I've been able to achieve in life. Being able to negotiate salaries in my career, serving as a state senator, serving as a school board member, but more importantly, having my education makes me a very strong role model for my children, and I know is what has inspired some of their academic decisions. And I want more of that for so many families. And it's hard for us to achieve that if we're having to roll back some of our investments. The thing about politics and government and these types of investments is we all have to be team players. So while I am very sad that we have to make cuts in higher ed, it hurts my heart. It makes me sad for the students who I know are barely hanging on, and they won't have resources to contribute more to their education. I also have to be a team player when it comes to the budget holistically. I'm going to continue advocating for what I know is right for students. I also recognize that the budget writers are in a very difficult decision and trying their best to make cuts overall and across the budget. They're not just singling out higher ed or singling out, accounts that help to fund higher ed. They're looking at the budget as a whole, and it's just a very difficult position for any government to be in. And state government is just not exempt. So I, again, look forward to this being a temporary setback for the things that we want in higher education. And I hope that in another year or two, we can see some revenue coming in from some of the revenue options that we're hoping to support this year, so that we can continue infusing funds into our higher education system and get back on track supporting students, not just with their education, but with meeting their basic needs like food and housing, mental health support, reproductive justice. I mean, there's so many things that we need to do for students in our higher education system, but it costs money. And I hope that we generate some more funds in our state so that we can continue to support students in ways that I believe align with our democratic values.